We,
Facebook.
mhm.
Hello, Facebook world, YouTube, and Twitter. We are live streaming to three different spots and just having an organic conversation like we normally do. I am labeled Inner Awakening the Challenge, and I'm going to have an organic conversation with the founder, with the educator, and with the transformational coach from the School of Self Elevation and Transformation, Omar. Hello again, my friend. Nice to talk to you.
Hello.
We were discussing in the green room before we chose to go live about the topic of uncertainty and how we navigate those spaces without knowing what we know or knowing where we're going or knowing what's going to happen because we don't know what we cannot know.
Uh,
Hello.
the question, it's a question of no time because uncertainties are the only certainties that exist um, in its actuality.
So you're saying
This is
that
for
it's good
sure.
for me not to know? It's good for me not to be certain, for me not to know?
No, I'm just saying that there is nothing called to know. There is a possibility of only knowing, and it's a continuous process. So I would call it knowing, or then the easier space of known, and that is nothing that we can claim that I know it. The known cannot be claimed known, or it cannot be in the past also. So the thing is that the process of knowing is something that I would choose personally for a communication, that have to know here um, and navigate.
Hmm. So the only thing that I do know is that I know nothing. So it's okay to say that and know that. But I never really know anything or knew anything
Um,
because I need
we
to
have
know stuff, Omar. I need to know. I need to know stuff.
we have this tendency of um, claiming something as known.
That I know
That's
something.
yes, and that's also something because the space that's wanting to know, it's not um, free of that desire of knowing, and that desire of knowing itself is a deceptive concept. But the awareness that there is to be things that needs to be known, which is relevant, and how to do and approach it in a practical sense of logic, devotion, and love is also something that would add to that situation. And in understanding something, the desire of knowing itself is a deception. I would rather say for that desire, there is nothing to be known, or there is nothing that it can know beyond its own understanding. So, for it is concerned as much as for the heart is knowing is something that is continuously happening. So, what I would say is There is no need to conclude that space of um, infinite love, compassion, intelligence, and everything to be put into our being. So, when we look at it in a certain way, that's the best way to navigate life, that the process of living is a continuous, eternal process to a certain period of time in this system. So that whatever which wants to know with a certain desire of claiming that knowledge is also a kind of a trick that the mind plays, which we can be aware about. Yeah.
So we need to be aware of it being a mind trick to a certain extent. Because I have
It's
this
good.
desire
Yeah.
I have a desire to know certain things. Like I feel maybe that's my human nature showing, like I need to know certain things. Oh, I need to think that I know certain things. Like to have this reassurance that I feel comfortable in knowing to the level that I know, that I'm comfortable knowing to this extent until I meet someone like yourself that could expand on what I think I know
Hmm.
to another level, if that makes sense. And I would like to say hello to our two viewers. Please feel free to comment and join in our conversation. We can see your comments and we love the feedback. We're talking about how do we navigate a space of uncertainty. We had Omar explaining to us that even that in itself, we have to be aware in the knowing of that, because it could be a deception of our minds that we need to know or have a desire to know. And I think that I'm one of those people that, I find a certain level of comfort in knowing that I know a particular topic or a particular person really well. And after I heard you speak, Omar, I start thinking to myself, how truly well do I know someone when I don't really truly know myself to a certain extent in this form? Sounds like a tongue twister, but thus are the mysteries, right, in life and what we are experiencing.
There are different ways of experiencing the reality, and we are all experiencing it differently for sure. But to experience it on a level of your being completely devoid of um, not claiming it to be something, but to be knowing it and moving with it is something I would choose to share if you ask me what it is.
Hmm. For instance, I don't know much about certain things that I cannot see,
Hmm.
just like the breeze and the air that flows.
Hmm.
But there's something inside of my understanding. There's something inside of what I can say that I know, that there is multiverses. There's something greater than myself, that we
Hmm.
are all connected in some form or another, and that we do receive messages. I
Hmm.
believe that all receive these things. And I say that I believe because I know these things. And I can't explain to you how I know these things. But for this, I am certain. I'm not uncertain of this. And that's why
Okay.
I ask you in this space where we're talking about navigating uncertainty. This, I tell you, my friend, I know for certain, but I cannot explain to you how I know it. Do I make sense to you? I know that I do, that you get me, you understand.
I do understand you. I do understand you. Yes, of course. See, it doesn't matter how it knows to you, but if you feel like you don't have a question about it, then there is no question about it.
And it's a very comforting feeling to me, and I do come across others that come for self-development and inner awakening. I like this because it's the inner awakening challenge. Is how are you, like what we were talking about the other day, right? How are you within yourself with yourself?
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
what does that mean to a lot of people out there? I can translate it into different things like, are you comfortable in your own skin? Do you know the skin that you are in? And how are you maintaining that vessel? Because a lot of us walk around, and this is something that depreciates over time. you know this is
Absolutely.
this is the container that we leave behind, whether we want to acknowledge this or not. This is something that is a part of life and that happens in
Mhm.
this level.
Mhm.
And like I said, this is something that I know to be certain. So I don't
Mhm.
navigate this uncertain. I know that this is what will be.
So you want me to speak about it?
Absolutely. Of course.
So you are asking for a solution how to navigate through uncertainties.
Because that's something that we're for certain about, that there will be uncertainties. Many.
Absolutely. So that's the certainty how to be very clearly mentioning. That's the only certainty where there is one certainty, and that is that everything is uncertain, except that which you can be certain that you are capable of being in existence now here and knowing your truth. It's okay if you cannot explain to someone else. There is no necessity that you have to tell your truth out to the world. The necessity is that, like you mentioned, if you are comfortable in the skin, there is no skin. If you are asking me if I'm comfortable in my physical appearance, how can I deny this? What will I do denying this? It's a kind of self suicidal question. I do not want to, of course, think in that direction because I'm okay. Yes, I feel like I'm okay in this. And also, I feel like there is no necessity of um, screaming out that I know the truth. No, we can all walk here with the truth that really is ever growing within all of us. And it's okay, we can share the formula. But what formula did you use? Did you use love? Did you use awareness? Were you present? What happened? Or was it like a blink thing and everything came to clarity? What was it like? So these are like tea parties. We can have drink tea and talk about this. And still, why? What is the necessity and that wants to tell people that I know something? You know it, good for you. Know it.
Good for you.
You're
Have a
blessed.
nice day. It's good for you that you
Yes.
know this.
Yes.
But
Uh,
come on now. There are those that need to shout it off the rooftops.
Who? I'm sorry. I
People,
missed it.
people,
Yeah,
people,
okay. Yeah.
people. We don't know who they are. They could be anyone. I want to shout it off the rooftops. There was a time, Omar, I had a moment that when I learned something new, when I came into this work of doing the work that I do in grief, death, and loss, that I had to let everybody know. Oh my goodness, we need to navigate this space. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom. You know, there's a bigger party happening on the other side. you know, this is this is an experience with an expiration date. There's more people, there's more things over there than over here. And this is not to make light of things and to be disrespectful for those that are mourning actively even now after years of losing someone. This is not for that. But this is just to bring in a different perspective. You know, that we are for certain. Not we don't make it out of this experience alive, you know?
Yeah,
And then
mhm.
we have to have these conversations like you said, like it's a tea party. There's no need to have a conversation of look at me and look at what I know. It's a knowledge share, like we've been sharing with a lot of our friends across the platform for the past couple of days, just to have a discussion. There are many that receive information. Some of us call it downloads. Some of it, some of us call it a direct connection, right? Where it is our mission to do certain things. And do we know where those messages are coming from? Are we for certain? And I want to say hello to our three viewers. Please be more than welcome to leave a comment. What are you for certain about? How do you navigate the uncertainty? I was just sharing with Omar. If I hear that I'm receiving information or I'm hearing a voice or I'm receiving communication or a download, how do I know for certain what am I receiving and where is it coming from? Because I'm not for sure.
What 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 I feel is what you have asked for. There is nothing else that comes to you other than that you have asked for, consciously, unconsciously, or from anywhere or wherever it is. So whatever that is asking through you for things, if you know what that is asking for things to the universe or to the source, is also very, very important. Absolutely important.
What
The
I'm
first thing
asking
is,
for.
yeah, yeah, of course. And if you know that, you know what you're asking for. It's like mind is in different layers, and it asks for different things on different levels. We know things we are asking consciously. For example, if you're asking me for something now, I know, but there are different levels of that asking happening in different different levels wherever the mind exists. If we know that in a deeper level, and yes, if we are conscious on this level, then yes, of course, this is the door to penetrate to that level as well. Mm, that can make changes.
That's very interesting because it makes me think of all the things that I was asking for things without knowing what I was asking for.
It's not even a practical kind of asking or feeling it from a conscious level. There is something hidden. It's like a subtext and a subtext and a subtext for the text that which we are. So to know the root of that asking and to know from where it is coming from, it goes deeper and deeper. It's an endless ocean. uh, if we set foot in it, it's going deeper. If we are willing to go deeper, it's okay. uh, the thing is that we need to accept that we need to be aware of the fact that from where that part of us is asking for things, and to know that and to make sure that it's asking what you truly, truly, as who you are, wants. And may that be also something that serves the whole humanity and whole lives around you, for sure. You know,
That
when
is for
that
the
kind
better
of
good.
when that kind of asking comes as prayer or as, you know, something on a very conscious level, then yes, it could be of for good. Why not? You know, if it's truly for good, why not? Is my question. If it's really for good, then why and how can it be not possible?
Mm. Does it
Whatever
work
that.
that way? This is just a thought that came to me. Does it work that way when I'm angry and I curse someone? Like
Uh,
the asking in that sense, and because it'll be for my good. If they're no longer here, it'll be for my good. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying that these are things that have entered my mind in my hey, I'm almost half a century years old. I've experienced certain things. Certain thoughts came through my mind, whether I was awakened to this level or not. And I know for myself, there's been moments in time where I was in a rough neighborhood. I was a female growing up in like a man's world, at the level of poverty that was at that time. We weren't so super poor, but we were struggling. And there were some people that were doing certain things that I had wished that they were no longer here, that it would be something for my benefit. And that's why I ask you, because if I'm able to manifest and pray for good things that I consider are good things for my purpose and my journey, does that work in the same way as if I am so quote unquote cursing someone and wishing someone harm, that it would be like if they're no longer here, that would be good for me? Thank you.
so whatever that is bothering you at the moment is that with you now, the life that you are living now. Is there something, anything that bothers you really in actuality? No, I'm not asking about an imagination in your mind, but in
Okay.
real, what is that is bothering you from anything that you mentioned before? For those people whom you wish that they were not here, does any of such a thing exist in your life to truly be bothering you now in this moment?
Absolutely not. Not
So
to that.
why do we even want a solution for that? Because you're asking for something that doesn't even exist in actuality. So
Right,
that's the
not in
kind of
my
crux.
actuality, but the thought did come through my mind because that was a different point of understanding. And I see that in people that I coach and are my clients. I see them stuck in this way of living and being and blaming it on someone else. And if this person was no longer here, it would be to my benefit. And when I experience that, it's almost like a trigger that it brings back a memory to me like, hey, you elevated past that space, but there was a point in time where you yourself had this thought cross through your mind. Nothing happened to the other person. I wasn't physically going to cause them any harm, but it was the feeling of that being upset or feeling that fear, whatever that was, that made me at that time feel that this person shouldn't be here no more. It would make me feel better. So when I see that in clients or people that I'm coaching, it's almost like, how did I move out of that space? Because for certain, I don't know how I moved out of that space. To me, I put it all to the Almighty, that I was given the help or the guidance or the assistance to get out of that space, and that I'm not in a place right now where I feel those things, but I can bring awareness and acknowledge it in other people, especially those that I'm trying to help out of that space. That it's
It
their
is.
problem is someone else.
See, for everyone, every single person who wants to truly acknowledge the part if they want to. So the basic part of your question is, does a curse work for a person as a prayer works for a person? This is where we started from.
Yes, sir.
Everything has its own um, nature,
Okay.
and life is fair. Life is, of course, of a fair calculation.
Okay.
It becomes unfair when we do not know what we do not know, and that's to be human, to accept that basic part that we know certain things, we are capable of knowing certain things, and there is something that is totally unknown. So the fight between not knowing what was it for, because if you truly want to communicate now, the the way, for example, the people who are responding or wanting to respond in certain way, as such you mentioned, by cursing someone,
Right.
um, is coming from a deep wounded part within themselves, which they are not aware of as a source and root of the triggering part of the wave that I call as something big. Because to have this feeling of cursing someone, we need to first look within ourselves and understand that is something, that we um, need not be taking as a part of us. We need to be aware of it, because it could be from your personal parts or the people, whoever it is coming from, to generate such a feeling. I'm not saying that there are wars happening. If there are soldiers going, they cannot be thinking, uh, I shouldn't shoot the other person, because I'm not talking about from that space, but from directly answering from the space that you are referring to as that part. If to communicate, then I would say that we need to look deeper into the
Mm.
part from where that kind of a thought is generating. And if we truly want to make the change, then it can never be through the cursing process. You know, if we really want to make the change, then it can only come from a space of actuality, where we need to, even if the see, it's a process, if it's a human nature that we need to be conscious about that thing, that which is generating whatever emotional thought that is coming out of you, you know because that's what you're projecting out to life, and that's what will be manifested back to you, is
Right.
also something very important. It's a give and take stuff, if we because it's not something of its own natural state, but it is something that which is recreated through different events of memories from experiences that we went through from our past.
Okay.
And then to know that and to heal that part consciously, and to be aware of it, itself is the process of knowing the root from where something is coming from. And if we know the root, and if it's all about working with the root,
Okay.
we just need to water the root. And in that knowing itself, the whole game can shift into a complete different way of seeing life, and we cannot change it from the top. So when we try to change it from the top clouded parts, this part is the space where we have anger and we have this thought coming from, that I need to do something in certain way. But
Okay.
when we go to the deeper roots of this space of thought, that which is coming and claiming the moment from us to act and think in a certain way, to understand its root and to work on the root.
Okay.
This is how, if you ask me, this is
Mm-hmm.
what I can speak about it.
Yeah, because this is the type of work that you do. So
Hmm.
it's very easy for you to speak about it. And this is why I enjoy having these types of conversations with you, because you allow me to wonder. You allow me to say, oh, I went through this in the past. And you're like, but why would you ask this question now if you're not dealing with anything now? And you allow me to give you examples that draws out the specialties that you do in this type of work. You allow people to share with you what they're going through, and you help them and you guide them to get into the root of things, so that way the true healing work can begin. And I appreciate that about you, Omar. I really do. So
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. I don't know so much. I'm not thinking so much about what kind of the work that I'm doing into a certain category to call it, but there is always a shape and design for everything in universe. If we go into anything from atoms to molecules of in anything, if we go deeper into its deeper visions, then everything have a properly balanced geometric
okay,
uh, dance of structural creation in within itself, which is so balanced and calculated with proper subject design in it.
okay,
So that clarity that comes from uh, people's understanding about life also have a certain design which we live in as emotions, thoughts, and varieties of things that which needs to be perceived and understood for the betterment of understanding in a certain way, as through names and terms and things it's been mentioned in different cultures. So to go through all these layers of our own self consciously and to remove the veils from stopping you to accept truly as who you are is the whole work about. So it's all about a work of removing the veils to just let people um, save some uh, deviations. They
okay.
don't. Yeah, it's just a work of not deviation, and it's when it comes to a personal level of work, then every individual is unique in a certain way. So the work needs to be approached from different directions, but the formula remains the same. Uh, so that's why it's been designed into a course, or into different segments and different levels. There is a basic level. Like we said before, we need to be training ourselves in a pool or a lake or a river with a less current before jumping ourselves, throwing ourselves into the ocean of
Right.
deeper realities, or whatever we
Or
can call
deeper
it.
understanding or deeper research, to lay the foundations down. At least that's how I feel. I would like to welcome into the space. We do have our two viewers, and it looks like they're coming from Facebook. We have Spiritual Awakening and Mark. Thank you for joining us into this space, and we welcome your emojis. So thank you so much for that. Please feel free to join us in on conversation, especially on our different time zones. And I'm just glad to be sharing the space with you here, Omar, and just take this inner awakening challenge and just really just sit here and look into what it does it take to make those necessary changes. It feels like I'm having a better relationship with myself, in the understanding of what makes me tick, what makes me think the way that I do, because my thinking has changed. I'm not the same person that I was in my mind, in my way of thinking 28 years ago, you know? But I can tell you this, I've seen some people that I know from 28 years ago that to me feels as though time has stood still for them.
Mm. Yeah. Let's. I don't know. I feel like there is a certain way to see those things because uh, more preferably to understand it in a different way
Okay.
that how people can look into life in a way that they are capable of taking charge of what they can think, what they want to think. Of course, we only want to think that things that serve for us, things that will help us to evolve into a better piece of life. Uh, and such kind, if the goal is to at least train the mind to work us, you know, to train the mind to work for us in all its faculties like thoughts, emotions, and in certain way that we can take charge of that actions. What my mind wants to think is something that I also want. So
Right.
that's a good relationship. So the first relationship to maintain with is to have that relationship with oneself. uh, you want something, mind wants something, but then you come to no, this is a war within ourselves.
Okay.
The war within ourselves needs to end first of all if the war outside needs to be ending. It is very important how I, and it's the truth. It's no matter if I look at it that way or if somebody look
Right.
at it
No,
that
you're
way.
right. It doesn't matter what either one of us think. The truth is that the war within yourself is the one that you need to address before you could even make
Yeah,
any changes to the war outside.
absolutely. So if that war needs to be ending, either you need to be a good warrior or you need to at least know which side to take in this war. It is important. It
Right.
is very important.
That, I mean, well, the thought that came to me right now is, be very mindful on which side you choose, because the side that could look like it's winning to your eyeballs,
Mm.
it could be the losing team. Just be very careful on which side of the field you're playing on these days.
Uh, I would say play the side of the heart.
We were talking about that earlier today, that
Yeah.
you had mentioned in the 5-day challenge that you are hosting,
Hmm.
that on your day one you were talking about bringing the mind down to the heart to make that
Hmm.
connection.
Hmm.
And it was
Yeah.
beautiful how you put that together, about the opening of the heart and connecting
I
with the
did
heart.
not. I did not put that together. I need to interrupt here with respect. I'm sorry, but I need to say that I did not put this together. This is supposed to be like this, and this was like this for everything that was for good and for everything that was for the betterment and for the higher self was itself in this design.
Got it.
Then there happened some corruptions in it, but we are just trying to just share what it is, and it was and it will be always. So it's not my work. I'm just speaking. I'm just a storyteller, uh,
Okay. I like
telling
how you always
stories.
bring it back to that. How you always bring it back to what I say, to source, to know that you are but the messenger. This is not something that you are creating yourself. This is something that you are just relating to the world.
Yeah, because I don't have to create something. Everything is already created. I'm only bringing them together into um, a form, a design that works in a certain way for the goal and for the process that happens with the alchemy. of self knowledge and love, which further can move into inner liberation and freedom for everyone. That's beautiful. This is a good work to do, to talk and share stories and share with people things that can be for good. Mm. This
Thank
is
you so
something that,
much.
yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, because we're getting a lot of thumbs up and we're getting some hearts on Facebook. So we appreciate that. Keep the emojis coming. It's so warming and welcoming to just to know that we are joined by others in this space as we just have an organic conversation. I don't know, what time is it where you are in the world, Omar, right about now?
It's 12 p.m. In the afternoon. I'm now in the valleys of Himalayas, which is
Okay.
of course a very beautiful place with a lot of uncertainties because of the shape of the nature and the wilderness of the nature and the actuality of certainty being so clear because the weather changes within a very few fragments of time period. So it's so magical to see and it's so beautiful to see. But the nature of nature is how it is.
Yeah.
We cannot deny this fact. And it is uncertain. It is
It's
the
a
beauty
certain,
of the nature. It is the beauty is the uncertainty.
that's what you know for certain, that it's uncertain.
Of course, that's what we know for certain. Yeah, that's the one thing that's is very certain. Uh, and the most certain thing that I would know that I would actually know
Oh, I can't hear you.
for certain, that is death.
That's right.
You hear?
I hear you now.
Yeah. So one thing for certain is that death is for certain. The death there is, of course, I'm not denying the fact of the mystic and metaphysical beauty of life that there is a deathless in you. But what you are in this costume, what you are in this skin, is what you are as a piece of life experiencing it here. If we cannot deny this truth, so to make it at its best, possibly for good, is not a bad thing. So I would uh, truly bring my energy and my effort in sharing these stories and some codes to acknowledge oneself and some formulas. Yeah,
I thank you
it's the
for the
beauty of
work that you do. And I appreciate the wisdom and the insight that you do share for further self elevation. I appreciate you in my space and the things that I've learned from you thus far and our collaboration. So I appreciate you.
grateful. I'm grateful for that. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
And I want to say thank you to our viewers on Facebook, Spiritual Awakening and Mark. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
at
you
this
guys.
hour, which is about 12 in the afternoon in the Himalayas and about 3 o'clock in the morning in the Poconos Mountains. So we're on two different kinds of mountains, experiencing two different kinds of time zones and days. But I appreciate your
Yeah.
conversation as always. And with that, I look forward to
Thank you
joining
for that.
in a couple of hours for your day 3 of your challenge. And anyone out
Thank you
there
so
that's
much. Thank you
listening
so much. You're welcome.
on the replay, you can find the
Yeah,
free challenge. Hi, Amoshi. Thank you for joining us, Amoshi. You can find the challenge on Facebook at the School of Self Elevation and Transformation. It's the public group. You can watch live there or be bold and courageous and join us live on Zoom. We share the link in the spaces. and it's available to you to just come partake in the conversation. Is there anything else that you would like to say in closing, or more, before we end our broadcast?
Yeah, for technically, I would like to say that there's been a video being uploaded onto our group and on the Facebook group, and for the people who are attending the workshops sessions for the second day challenge that happened a few hours before, earlier from now. So I have posted my love and uh, I have posted myself what I truly want to share with them, what I wanted to share with them, which I couldn't for some technical reasons. So I would like to also share with our beloved brothers and sisters and mothers, fathers, whoever who has been with us, to please um, go through the link that which I have shared um, on Facebook about our day two challenge, while we were discussing about fear and the door to the beyond. At this part, um, I have uploaded it on Facebook, and I'll be also personally sending it to our beloved team who are with us on this journey, and for whoever out there who would like to catch us and see us, what we are talking about, what are these stories about. Yeah, very much welcome, and heartfully so much of love, and the doors are open, because this doors are always open for anyone to come and see what it is and how we are doing it. And
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
so
Come take a
yeah,
peek inside, walk through the doors of the School of Self Elevation and Transformation, and just take a peek inside the classrooms. There's different topics that'll touch different hearts, but we are all here collectively to grow together and come to light, because there is only one way, and the way out is the way in. We thank you for your time, and we look forward to you joining us in a couple of hours for the day three part of the challenge, right here on Facebook, on YouTube, now on Twitter. Please do your Google search. Find us on our links from the School of Self Elevation and Transformation with founder, educator, and transformational coach Omar. Thank you so much for your time. And with that,
thank you,
we
thank
are
you,
out.
thank you, thank you
Thank
guys,
you.
thank you so much.